Welcome to Tesla Field Physics. In this video, I'd like to talk about the so-called electron gun or electron emitter that isn't emitting anything, it's just setting up a perturbation in the ether. Because this whole thing is dealing with fields, it's not dealing with particles. Just like there's no little electron BBs running down your power lines. It's not how this thing's working. It's working in the space between the wires. So it's all fields, it's not particles. This whole thing is twisted, but if you go back and ask the founder of the so-called electron, J.J. Thomson, he'll tell you exactly what an electron is. An electron is one unit of dielectric induction, meaning that it's being induced from the source through the 0 point into the magnetic. It's going from counter space through the 0 point into space and then manifesting. So that's how this whole thing's working. Let's get into it. Okay, so this is a CRT, cathode ray tube. They're found on the back of most older TVs. This is how they first started figuring out how to confine the plasma and make it usable. Here's the vacuum tube right here, and inside are the electron guns. They'll tell you that's what fires down and produces your picture. So, in my last video, I talked about Ralph Ring and what he was doing in the 1959 to 1960 time frame. He was working for a government contractor called Advanced Kinetics, and his job was to try to fire the electron gun and make it go straight through a magnetic field without it going to the positive or to the negative. Because this whole thing is working on the magnetic and the dielectric, because those are the two components you need to make electricity. Electricity exists in both space and counter space simultaneously. So, just like at the center of this ring magnet, in every magnet at that dead center, there's zero Gauss, it's zero G, it's a 0 point. On the outside is where you have all the magnetic field. So what Ralph did was, instead of trying to blast the so-called electron gun and keep turning up the power and trying to force it to go through that 0 point, he started not forcing it, he started pulsing it, and when he started pulsing it, that's when he got it to go through. Because basically, at that 0 point where there's 0 G, 0 magnetic Gauss, that means it's de-Gaussed, okay? So when you get into this whole thing with the Philadelphia experiment, when they started doing that, they were originally de-Gaussing their ship so that magnetic landmines wouldn't stick to the side of the ship. So they'd go through a de-Gaussing process. It's the same process that your TV goes through with one of these tube TVs. When you start it up, you hear a loud kind of low thud, and that starts your de-Gaussing cycle. It wipes out all the magnetic storage on it. So, okay, this is what they tell you an electron gun is and what it does. The electron gun, also called an electron emitter, is an electrical component in some vacuum tubes that produces a narrow collimated electron beam that outputs kinetic energy. So the largest used is a CRT, or a cathode ray tube, used in the older TVs, computer displays, and oscilloscopes before the advent of flat panel displays. So electron guns are also used in field emission displays, FEDS, FEDs, flat panel displays made of extremely small cathode ray tubes. They are also used in microwave linear vacuum tubes, such as klystrons, inductive output tubes, traveling waveguide tubes, and gyrotrons, as well as scientific instruments such as electron microscopes and particle accelerators. If you break it down, the root of the word electron means L. It means God or source. So that's what I said. At the 0 point, that's the source. That's the dielectric, that's the dielectricity, that's counter space. That's where the dielectricity is faster than light. And as it goes through that 0 point and comes out the magnetic, it's slowing down. So this whole thing has been twisted so that you don't figure all this stuff out. Electron guns may be classified by the type of electrified generation, either DC or radio frequency RF. By emission mechanism, whether it's thermomic, photocathode, cold emission, or plasma source, by focusing, per-electrostatic, or with magnetic fields, or by the number of electrodes. The design: a direct current, electrostatic, thermomic electron gun is formed from several parts. A hot cathode, which is heated to create a stream of electrons via thermomic emission, electrodes generating an electric field to focus the electron beam, such as a Valnel cylinder, and one or more anode electrodes which accelerate and further focus the beam. A large voltage difference between the cathode and anode accelerates the electrons away from the cathode. A repulsive ring placed between the electrodes focuses the electrons onto a small spot on the anode at the expense of a lower extraction field strength on the cathode surface. There is often a hole through the anode at this small spot through which the electrons pass to form a collimated beam before reaching a second anode called the collector. This arrangement is similar to an Enzel lens. An RF electron gun consists of a microwave cavity, either a single cell or multiple cell, and a cathode. In order to obtain a smaller beam admittance at a given beam current, a photocathode is used. An RF electron gun with a photocathode is called a photoinjector. Photoinjectors play a role in X-ray free lasers and small beam emittance accelerator physics facilities. An electron gun can also be used to ionize particles by adding electrons or removing electrons from an atom. This is used in mass spectrometry in a process called electron ionization to ionize, vaporize, for gaseous particles. More powerful electron guns are used for welding, metal coating, 3D metal printers, and metal powder production and vacuum furnaces. Electron guns are also used in medical applications to produce X-rays using a linear accelerator. A high energy electron beam hits a target, stimulating emissions of X-rays. Electron guns are also used in traveling waveguide tube amplifiers for microwave frequencies. So, this whole deal is all coming back to what they first learned when people like Philo Farnsworth started getting into the whole TV building process. They were always trying to contain that plasma to make it do something. So in my other videos, I'm going to go into some of the stuff Farnsworth was doing and the stuff that he come up with. So remember, an electron is just one unit of dielectric induction. It's being induced from the source, from the dielectric, through the 0 point into the magnetic, then it manifests into space. So that's how this whole thing is working. If you haven't seen my other videos, please check them out. Thanks for watching. Peace.